Welcome, my dear students, listeners, and viewers. Today, I have brought a very interesting and very important and a very complex lecture on the topic that what is language. Today's lecture is about language. And in previous lecture, I had told about linguistics that the scientific study of a language is called linguistics. So today in this lecture we will learn about language, that what language is. Language is a very complex human phenomena and all attempts to define it have proved inadequate. Simply we say language is a means of communication, or some people say human speech is called language. So now we come towards some prominent books and authors that what they say about language. So first of all, we come towards Encyclopedia Britannica, volume number 13, in which language is defined as a system of conventional spoken or written symbols by means of which human beings as members of a social group and participants in its culture communicate. This definition has been written in Encyclopedia Britannica, volume number 13. Next, a prominent linguist, Sapper, says about language that language is primarily human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotions, and desires by means of a system of voluntarily produced symbols. And another great name in the field of linguistics, Henry Sweet, he says in his History of Language, this is the name of a book which he has written about language. So, Henry Sweet says in his History of Language that language may be defined as the expression of thought by means of speech sounds. And according to transformational generative linguists like Noam Chomsky, language is the innate capacity of native speakers to understand and form grammatical sentences. So, these were some of the definitions stated about the language. But all these definitions are not perfect. None of the above definitions are perfect. Each of them just hints at certain characteristic of language. You may judge these definitions by these characteristics of language, which I want to state before you one by one. So, number one, the first feature and characteristic of language is that language is verbal, vocal, and language is sound. Language is an organization of sounds of vocal symbols. The sounds produced from the mouth with the help of various organs of speech to convey some meaningful message. So this is the first. This is the first feature or characteristic of a language, that language is verbal, vocal, and language is sound. Number two, language is a means of communication. Language is the most powerful, convenient, and permanent means and form of communication. Language is the best means of self expression, and it is through language that humans express their thoughts, desires, emotions, and feelings. And it is through language that we get knowledge and transmit knowledge from one person to another and from one generation to another. And The third feature or characteristic of a language is that language is a social phenomenon. Language exists in society and it is a means of nourishing and developing cultures and establishing human relations. We are as members of society that we acquire a language. We are not born with an instinct to learn a particular language as English, Arabic, Chinese, French, Urdu, or Persian, Pashto, etc. We can learn any of the languages when we are members of that society because language is a social phenomena. This was the third feature of the language. Now we come towards the fourth feature or characteristic of a language, that language is non instinctive. No language was created in a day out of a mutually agreed upon formula by a group of humans. But language is the outcome of evolutions and convention. Each generation transmit Each generation transmits their convention on to the next. Like all human institutions, languages also change and die. Nobody gets a language in heritage, he acquires it. And number five, language is arbitrary. Language is arbitrary. By arbitrariness of language, we mean that there is no logical relationship or similarity between any given feature of language and its meaning. There is no reason why the four-legged domestic animal is called dog in English, and in Urdu and in Hindi it is called kutta, and in Arabic why it is called kalb. So there is no reason. So this is called the arbitrariness of a language. So language is arbitrary. Number six, language is unique, complex, and creative and modifiable. Language is a unique phenomenon on the earth. Language has creativity and productivity. New words and terms are created and produced day by day due to need and advancement in science and technology. As you can see, many years ago, the modern words were unfamiliar as nowadays we use laptop or iPhone, or nowadays it is the trend of artificial intelligence AI, or we use words like softwares, hardwares, and we use YouTube, Google, and we say often words like the bullet trains, or these words were unfamiliar um, so many years ago. So this is the feature of a language, that it is creative and new words are created, and new words can be produced. And number seven, the last one, language is human and structurally complex. Language is what? Language is human and structurally complex. No species other than human gifted with language. Language is the gift only for humans. So now you will say that animals also produce sounds. So they produce sounds, but their language is uh, their language is very short, very confined. They can produce a few sounds. They can't speak a language like a human. So language is human and structurally complex. No species other than human gifted with language. Animals cannot acquire human language because of its complex structure and their physical inadequacies. And animals do not have the type of brain which the human beings possess. So This was the video I presented before you, and this was the lecture I presented before you, and it was about the language. That what is language? So it's a very complex topic. That what is a language? Many philosophers, many linguists have defined language in different styles. So I stated mm, some of the definitions before you, and I also stated the characteristics of the languages. So let's call it a day. See you in next video.